we let the pain go. In this space we heal, it's all about the journey, not the show. Living imperfectly, perfect, it's true. We rise on our struggles, break through. Together we'll find something brand new. 'Cause living imperfect is what we do.
Welcome to Imperfect TV, where we embrace the messy, the real, and the beautifully unfinished. I'm Gemma Blythe, and this is your Monday morning guided journaling session, your space to breathe, reset, and begin the week with intention. Mondays can feel overwhelming, but they also hold a quiet power, a fresh start, a chance to realign with what truly matters. So, before the emails, the to-do lists, and the noise of the day take over, let's pause together. Take a deep breath in and out. Let's start this morning by checking in with ourselves. You don't have to get it perfect, just honest. Let your thoughts flow without judgment. This is your time, your space, your moment to be fully present with yourself. So grab your journal, settle in, and let's write. I'll be here with you, guiding you along the way. Because growth isn't about perfection, it's about showing up, even on the messy Mondays. My mic's muted. Okay. So, I'll start again. So, we're going to be looking at the way that trauma affects us. So, reclaiming identity after trauma, how you value yourself and your place in the world, any roles that you'd like to change or reclaim within the different relationships you have, and healing and reconnecting with your physical self and what that could look like for you, and also rebuilding your sense of hope for the future. Those are all things that come under reclaiming your identity after trauma that we are going to be looking at this morning in the guided journaling session. So, as per normal, I hope you have a pen, paper. If you've got coffee, great. Or tea, yeah, it's all right. And then we're going to settle down, go through all of these different prompts together. There are 4 prompts, like normal, and then we'll reflect after each prompt. And then at the end, we'll have a recap. And I'll tell you where to go next today. So, first one then, after we've done a bit of grounding ourselves. So, I want you to sit back in whatever chair you're sitting in and just relax. Breathe in and breathe out deeply. Concentrate on doing that while I play this video. Okay, so hopefully that's relaxed you a little bit more this morning and enabled you to actually track your thoughts easier, because that's what breathing does. It allows us that extra space to just bring ourselves into the present and settle there. So grab your journal and let's go for the first prompt. Okay, so this first prompt focuses on the way that you see yourself and your worth. 2 of the things that can be affected most after trauma are how you see yourself and your self-worth. Because very often when you go through trauma, it leaves you with a lot of shame and a lot of guilt and wondering, what if? So we're going to work to get rid of those over these sessions together. But you can start by recognizing your feelings surrounding those today. So, do you feel inadequate, as though you are unworthy? Do you have crippling self-doubt every time you do something and you think, oh, well, I'm not sure if that's good enough? Or I need to do that again because it doesn't look right. How often do you have that? I know I do still. Most days. But that's the thing. When we heal, we automatically look for perfection. And if perfection's not there, we look for, yeah, all right, that'll do. No, that's what we're working on. So have you got any internalized beliefs as well? Like, I am broken or I don't deserve happiness. Those are the two that are the most common and were definitely the most common in my own case. So the more that you can identify in a bit when you go and write this prompt, the more help and the more reflection that's going to be able to give you. Because there is no right and wrong that goes down on that page. But at the same time, if you write nothing, you need to analyze. Look back and analyze yourself. You're the only person that's allowed to be critical of you. Nobody else is. Nobody else knows what you think and knows your thoughts the way that you do. So even if you just write down a list of feelings for this or a list of thoughts that you have that are quite regular and you don't know where they came from, is that not you pinpointing where they came from or why they're there? Okay. So I want you to take the next just over a minute to go away and have a go at this prompt and see how you get on. If you feel able, the comments are open. You can use those, and I encourage you to use those as this is your safe space. So go away and see what you come up with, and I'll see you soon. Okay, looking at the way that you perceive yourself now isn't always an easy one, but it's the best thing that you can do because it allows you to look at yourself as if you were a reflection in a mirror and almost write down what you see there. And here's the thing, to not draw comparison between who you are now and who you were before the trauma, because you are much more resilient now than you were before the trauma. Traumatic times have a habit of making survivors more resilient, more mentally strong in the long run. And that's why it's important to write down any thoughts, any feelings that you have, because they are all justified. Nobody can interrupt your thoughts or your feelings at all. So, with that in mind, we're now moving on to the next prompt, which is, how has trauma influenced your roles in relationships or in your personal life? For example, as a friend, partner, or parent. So, like it or like it not, trauma does impact our relationships that we have with the people around us. Whether it's because they were there during the trauma, although maybe they didn't know it at the time, or maybe it's because you needed someone to lean on after the trauma. And then, of course, after the trauma, there's always that moving on stage and who you move on with. So, as you go through this one, I want you to think about how trauma has influenced these roles that you take. I mean, do you find yourself overcompensating, maybe as a caregiver, withdrawing from others, or feeling disconnected from your role as a partner, parent, or friend? Trauma does cause disconnection, and it can sometimes feel like nobody else will understand. But here's the thing, nobody else will understand unless you open up to them. When you open up to a trusted person, they have a choice. They can either stand by your side and be there through everything, or they can walk. That is their choice. You have no control over that. So, think carefully. Open up to the ones that matter. And if you find yourself overcompensating, does that lean in then to the self-doubt that you maybe put on the first prompt this morning? Think about any patterns that surface between the first prompt and the second prompt. And then you may have your why you feel those certain things, why you feel all those thoughts that come into your head. So think about that this morning as you head into the second prompt. Now, I'll give you just over a minute and then we'll come back together and share what we've got. Again, the comments are always open. Okay, so how did you find that one? Sometimes it can be tricky looking at the different roles that we take on, sometimes as though we don't even know that we're taking on that role. So, if you think about this, then, so are there any roles that you'd like to change? And by that, I mean, have you, instead of becoming a friend to somebody, have you become their caregiver or felt like it? Because traumas, I'm sure you know, it makes us step up. It makes us want to protect the ones around us. It gives us that hyper independence that seems unable to shift. So, if you have that hyper independence, how does that play a role? Does it make you say no to any help offered? Does that make you sit back and think, no, I can do this on my own. I am perfectly fine. I can do it. And then you might end up in hospital later. So, as you go through this one, it was aimed at getting you to think about where you sit. Think about a long table. Bear with me. Think about a long table, and you have caregiver, withdrawing from others, and feeling disconnected from the people around you. We know that trauma makes you feel disconnected, but do you want to feel connected to others? Do you want to change your role in any way, shape, or form in any relationship? You have the right to do that. Think about that. I've just said that you have the right to do that. As a trauma survivor who has been hyper independent, it's very difficult for me to ask for help anywhere, no matter if it's from a friend, family member. It's well known that I don't ask for help until I really need it. And then I have to hope that people are there. So, are you like that as well? Has something clicked in what I've said this morning? And then you might have guessed it, but that leads us on to our third prompt this morning, which I am going to grab for you. Okay. In what ways has your trauma affected your connection to your body or physical self? So, as you go through this one, I want you to reflect on how your relationship has changed within yourself, within your physical self, and the way that you look at yourself. Has it shifted? This is all part of reclaiming your identity, not as who you once were, but who you are now with added quirks. So sometimes it's normal to feel disconnected from your body and who you are deep down. It's normal to feel numb or uncomfortable in your own skin. What's sometimes not talked about is the self-injury and the disordered eating that can come from that. So write down now how connected you feel to your body or disconnected. There is no judgment here. This is your safe space to think about all those different things, knowing that you aren't going to be judged. And here's the thing, when you write, don't judge yourself either. We can be our own worst critic, especially after trauma. But again, that's leaning into the self-doubt. You're doing this for you to be better, to heal stronger, to be that resilient person that nobody else can put you down for. So, I want you to go away and have just over a minute to work on this. If you feel able, please share in the comments. If you don't feel able, I get it. You can email me and I'll get back to you there instead, if you don't feel able to leave a comment. So here we go. Just over a minute. Okay, how was that? It can be challenging to think of our identity before or after trauma because it can seem a lot of the time like two different people. And in effect, you're just one person who something extremely bad has happened to. But like I say, that doesn't cause wounds on the outside a lot of the time. It leaves emotional wounds on the inside. And it can leave us with feeling disconnected from our physical self as well as our emotional self after trauma. But what the most important thing is to do is to look at how to heal that. So you'll want to jot these down. So whether that's daily mindfulness, whether that's taking yourself out on a walk, whether that's doing yoga or somatic workouts, and just moving yourself in general, getting that love back for your body. Is it going to happen instantly? No. But that's why we focus on setting habits here. That's why we work together on making healthier habits, making them an option for us to turn to each and every day. So when we've looking at ourselves as a reflection in the mirror, my challenge for you later on is to close your eyes and see yourself in the future. How do you feel about yourself in the future? Okay. And that leads us on to our fourth prompt this morning, which is: how has trauma changed the way you view your future, or your sense of hope? We know that trauma changes things, and we know that trauma impacts our identity. We know the roles that trauma impacts and the relationships trauma impacts. But this is your chance to set all of that aside and work on what you actually want for your future and enable you to create that sense of hope and safety that you can go back to time and time again. So it may help you to understand where you are at the moment. So do you feel hopeless, stuck, or as though your dreams are out of reach? Then think about how trauma has impacted your sense of power, your agency, or your ability to envision a positive future. It can impact all of those and make you feel all of those feelings. So think about what you've always wanted in your life before the trauma. And then think about what you want in your life now, after the trauma. Because I can guarantee there won't be that much difference. So I'm going to give you over a minute again to go away and journal one final time this morning. Okay. So, how has trauma impacted how you see your future? So, within that, you could have written about how trauma impacts you in different ways. So, your ability to plan, dream, or feel optimistic about your future. And then what steps you can take to start rebuilding a sense of hope for your future. Now, I will always personally recommend doing a vision board. Okay. This normally happens in January, but in my world, you can do it any time of the year. And I would say to you, grab a huge piece of card and cut out as many things and as many quotes that represent you and where you want to go in your life. This doesn't have to be a yearly one. It can be a future one that changes over the year, one that enables you to look at and think, yeah, okay, that's within my reach. And it gives you something to strive for, especially if you put it up in an area on your wall that you look at day in, day out. So that's my advice. Get creative. Take that time, allow yourself to have that time to get creative. So, with that in mind, what have we looked at this morning? We've looked at how you value yourself and your place in the world. We've looked at how trauma changes the roles that you take within relationships and how you can reclaim them or change them. Then we've looked at healing and reconnecting with our physical selves. And we've also looked at rebuilding a sense of hope for the future. So, thank you so much for joining me this morning. You can find me over on Life with Gemma E. Blythe this morning at 10 o'clock for your morning coffee break or Blythe coffee break. So, join me over there for more reflection and looking to the future. 10 years to be exact. So head over there and I will see you there at 10 o'clock BST time. See you next week. Bye.